Hey everybody, and welcome to this special edition of the DVC Show, live on a Tuesday night, kind of not our normal time, but Disney had other plans for us today with lots of news on the cabins at Disney's Fort Wilderness.
Yeah, I was not ready for all that news to come out today.
I was not either.
So.
It was fast, and all of it came out at once, and there was a lot to unpack. So we thought, why not go live and chat with you all about the questions that you might have regarding this news of the new cabins at Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort and all of the kind of fun stuff going on there, and answer questions. But we brought some friends along for the ride also, and probably some faces that are not the normal group of people. But first, we've got Sam, DVC Millennial, with us tonight. Hey, Sam, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We are doing absolutely wonderful. We've got the lovely Jeff Haslam, as always.
Ooh, I'm lovely this week, just like Amy. That's a win.
You've moved up. You've been elevated.
I'm going to have to reword that next time, probably, or else my wife's not going to be happy with it.
I am not. He is very lovely. Look at him.
And then we've got a new face here. We've got Corey Riley with us tonight. Corey, welcome to this motley crew of individuals. And yeah, how are you?
Good. Hello. Excited to be here.
Corey actually just joined the group of DVC fan moderators over on the DVC fan community. Actually, Jeff recently joined the group of DVC fan moderators in the DVC fan Facebook group as well. But we had a chance to meet up with Corey when him and his family were in town last week and had a nice breakfast or brunch, whatever you want to call it, at Steakhouse 71. Raw reaction, Corey, Steakhouse 71, hit or miss?
I don't think I'd go back for breakfast. It was good.
Okay.
It was good, but I mean,
lunch is the best there.
Lunch, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Lunch is probably the dinner.
You can't really get a fishbowl for breakfast, right?
Yeah, that's true.
No, that's a. I mean,
who has that rule?
You could probably ask. The bar is open at that time, so I wouldn't be surprised if you can't get a fishbowl at that. Sam, Jeff, have you guys been to Steakhouse? What are your thoughts?
I love Steakhouse.
I think breakfast is actually better. I really liked breakfast there.
The hash is really good.
Did we go there for breakfast or we go there for lunch?
Yeah, it was breakfast. I had the hash as well. It was good. Yeah, I mean,
well, I guess I should rephrase. Jeff is the only person on this call I've not been to Steakhouse with. So,
yes,
I don't think you've been with Sam.
Yes, I have. Oh my God, I've been there with everyone.
When was this?
I've been there way too many times.
Well, you were there too, Amy. It was I don't remember what we were doing that night, but we went there.
We went up to, it was when Jeff, your friends were in town, and I think we went up to
we
Top
went
of
up
the
to Top of the
World
Lounge.
Lounge, and we sat in the back
right after we moved here.
We kind of sat in the back of Steakhouse 71 and yeah, I'm getting old. I've been to that restaurant too many times. People, I'm sorry, we haven't eaten yet, so we're going to be hungry throughout the show tonight. But thank you for joining us and listening to our rambles about Steakhouse 71. We do have some people chiming in on this. We had Mike chimed in and said, hot take, the wave was better, which I do have to agree with that overall assessment. And I don't know why his comment is ginormous, but I'm going to make it a little bit smaller.
So do they still do this? What is it? The bacon and eggs?
Bacon and eggs is still there for sure. Yeah.
I don't remember it being on the menu.
It's not. You got to ask. It's
right.
like that
it wasn't
special.
There.
It's like that special off menu item. It is on the dinner menu, but I think for breakfast you do have to ask.
They put maple stuff on it at breakfast time.
Yep.
So it's a little different.
But yeah. So yeah, Steakhouse. So that's not what we're here to talk about, though. This morning, Amy and I woke up and thought it would just be a normal, everyday Tuesday, as I'm sure the rest of you did.
I didn't dry my hair. That's how
Amy,
I wasn't prepared.
That's how we thought the day was going to start. Amy didn't dry her hair, and we sat down at the computers, and sometime between 8 and 9 a.m., I feel like all chaos broke loose. And we learned a lot about the cabins at Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort, which is going to be the next Disney Vacation Club property, which we now have an official opening date for. It is opening on July 1st. So we are excited about that. We knew it was going to be summer. And so we've got a lot of stuff in terms of everything with the cabins to talk about tonight, and I'm happy that this group of people could join us. So I thought the best place to kind of start with these conversation was to just kind of take a look at the timeline that we're talking about with all of the news, and then we'll kind of dive deeper into point charts and everything else that's been discussed today. But the timeline's the most important thing in terms of what people are going to have questions about. So first and foremost, coming up on Thursday, February 1st, Disney Vacation Club sales for the cabins at Disney Fort Wilderness Resort will open to existing members. I want to take a moment and not just rub it in, but say I told you so, because I've been saying that for, I feel like, a month and a half now. We kind of knew that the incentives for this round were going to end on January 30th, and all of the filings, everything that was kind of getting set up heading into that was just, it was definitely writing on the wall related to the cabins going on sale in February. Was this a surprise to any of you guys? Did you think it was going to be a little bit later?
Someone asked if that graphic could go back up really quickly.
Oh, we'll bring it back up in a minute. We're not talking about anything.
I was super surprised that it came up this quickly. I was thinking March, end of March myself, but I don't know anything, so.
You know everything about the Disney dining plan, though. You are
clearly not, because I screwed up the character breakfast on that too. So
oh well, yeah.
We have to issue a retraction now.
Yeah, we had an entire retraction episode on the Disney dining plan. Sam, Corey, what are your thoughts on the on sale date? Surprising that it's so soon, or just excited that it's happening?
I kind of thought that it would be not that you want to start anything on April Fool's Day, but closer to April, because then you'd be starting like, what is it, 2 or 3 for them? Because I know they start like in October, pretty strong, because a lot of people are so excited for the cabins. So it's a little earlier than I thought.
I thought it was going to coincide with the Moonlight Magic events coming up in February, like in the February, March. So that would make sense that, to the general public, I guess it's going on sale around that same time.
I feel like we're having like a minor bot problem in our chat, which we've never had before. We've never had that issue before.
Welcome to the bots. I mean, we did
hilarious,
everything. And yeah.
There we go.
Kudos to Ryan, and kudos to Lauren and everyone else that are kind of moderating the chat that's going on right now. But anyhow, bringing us back to what everyone wanted to see, the graphic here. So February 1st, we've got the cabins go on sale to existing members. This is similar to every other Disney Vacation Club property that we've seen. Then on Thursday, February 15th, those members who have added on the points can begin to book those stays both online or by calling member services. This is a little bit different because of the fact that typically those early kind of bookings are just done by calling member services, but it sounds like they're going to have everything up and running on DisneyVacationClub.com on the 15th, which is kind of, we'll see if the technology allows that to happen. Then we've got on Tuesday, February 27th, cabins at Fort Wilderness for all. So essentially the cabins will go on sale to the general public on Tuesday, February 27th. Then on Tuesday, March 12th, new members who have purchased at the cabins, that is when those people will begin to make those bookings at the cabins at Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort. Tuesday, April 23rd, all Disney Vacation members. So that's when the free-for-all begins when it comes to the cabins. That'll begin on Tuesday, April 23rd. And then Monday, July 1st. And I think this is where just a little bit of clarity needs to kind of be put in there. Monday, July 1st is when the first loop of cabins is going to open, with additional loops opening later that month and throughout the remainder of 2024. So we're only going to have the first loop of cabins actually open. I want to say that's somewhere in the range of like 15 cabins or so, but don't quote me on that.
Oh, that's not very many
so
at all.
I feel like the first loop is a very small group. It may be a smidge higher than that, but it's not going to be a tremendously high number. So we have a lot of exciting things to be ready for throughout the spring and summer.
So you can go on right now and book a cabin on July 1st for cash. It's only like $300 something, but you're probably definitely going to get an old cabin We did book one.
We did it.
We want to be there. Even if we're in an old cabin, surely one of you kind folks will let us into your new cabin.
Yes. So our thought process is we'll be there, and we'll be in an old and busted cabin, and hopefully one of you kind folks in a new clean cabin invite us over, and we can take a look around and see what it's all about. But
I can see Amy and Paul going door to door knocking.
Hello. We might get kicked out.
Have to have like no solicitor signs on the outside of your cabin or something like that. But
I'll also be there on July 1st, but not
really
in a cabin. Yeah.
Well, you can go canvassing the neighborhood with us in search of a kind soul to let us into their new cabin.
Yeah. I feel.
Which 2 dogs will you bring?
Unfortunately, all dogs have to stay at home. That was sad. I actually already we had reached out to our guide early on in the news of the cabins, so like before we knew anything, and we were like, hey, they said dog friendly, so call me when sales start. And then we got the news several weeks ago that it's only 2 dogs in a cabin, and we immediately wrote back and said, cancel that. We're no longer interested because that kind of womp womp.
Unless we book 2 cabins, the points are pretty cheap.
Amy's come up with this grand idea that we should just do 2 cabins.
We don't need cabin points.
But I did tell her we would like hers would be in loop 1 and mine would be in loop 6, and we would be like
10 miles away.
Yeah. But Amy's already agreed that Jeff's going to sleep in one with Hermes. So Hermes is one of our dogs.
But Amy forgets I have 2 dogs of my own.
Oh, that's true. Now we need to find
This is the problem.
Book 3 cabins now.
This is the problem, though, with putting a number of dogs. I understand it. We'll get into the whole pet-friendly debate.
I get the number.
But at the same time, like Jeff's 2 dogs equal the size of one of our beasts.
Probably not even.
Yeah, exactly. Like
you're not giving us a good argument for.
I'm not.
Yes, only Marissa said only some of the cabins are dog friendly. That is correct. There's only going to be a certain number of cabins that are dog friendly. So if it's a concern of yours to not be in a dog cabin, maybe it'll be a separate booking option. We're not sure how they're going to do that. Right now, they allow dogs in certain cabins at Fort Wilderness. So we imagine it's going to be very similar. Maybe half and half. I don't know. Maybe a quarter of them will be dog friendly. Jackie Schreiner said, I am always available to sleep with Hermes. That is my mom.
Hi, Mom.
I've never seen her on a live show before.
Welcome to the chat, Mom.
I love how her picture's there, too. It's
like, you made it big time when your mom's watching. Before we get any further into everything else that we know about the cabins, we've kind of walked through the time frame, everything. I want to get Sam and Corey's just overall thoughts on this new property. Has it been something that's excited you? Is it something that you're considering purchasing at? Why and why not? Your life story. I'll give you each about 25 minutes to speak, and then we'll have a rebuttal period at the end of that. Corey, since you're the newest guy in town, we will start with you.
I'm always excited when a new property comes available. But I honestly, I've never been to Fort Wilderness, so I've seen the cabins though, and I'm a fan of like the old style because I grew up going to the cabins in the mountains. This new style, I know that DVC took the approach of, if we were to build a cabin today, let's build a modern cabin. So they took that with all the modern colors and the sunlight coming in. They look really, really nice, but it doesn't interest me I may try to stay there to a night or two just to see what it's all about, but I'm not like chomping at the bits to buy in there or anything, or even Corey, stay there for that matter.
Corey, correct me if I'm wrong. You own currently at Polynesian, right?
Polynesian, Grand Floridian, and Old
Key West. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Sam, what are your thoughts on these lovely new cabins that aren't old cabins but are new?
I'm always excited for a new resort. I love to do my little sunrise walks, so doing that around a campground is going to be pretty different. I'm also a glamper, not a camper, so this is the only way that you will see me at Fort Wilderness, other than to see
Amen.
I don't really see myself booking here a lot only because I usually only travel with one other person, or if I was going to do like a group of friends, the layout just doesn't really work for what I would look for. I would probably go 2-bedroom at that point. So I will not be buying into here because, like we talked about before we started recording, the add-on-itis bug has left this house because I got my due statement. So for now, we're just going to stick with Old Key West.
That's a good reason. So annual dues kind of always put a damper on plans, and we're gonna get to that later too. When it comes to
we're gonna get
to that when it comes to the cabins too. But yeah, no. I think for us, we've already kind of told our tale of why we considered the cabins, but now we're not. Jeff, any new thoughts from all of this new news that came out today?
Man, this thing has been like a carrot on a stick for me, because when they first announced them, I was all in. And then the trust thing came out and I was like, maybe not. But then I saw them again today and I was like, all right, I'm going to get some. And then the dues, which we're going to talk about, I'm like, I don't know. So I'm back and forth on it, man. I want them, but I don't know how bad I want them.
Yep. It's kind of the same. It's kind of the same position that we've been in recently, which is kind of like, I know I kind of want.
It was an emotional roller coaster today. Like you saw, the first thing that started coming out were the point charts, and it was like, holy cow, that is cheap. You know what I mean? It was, and we'll put those up soon, and we'll talk about them. Maybe we'll find them here in a minute. Here they are. I mean, look at these point charts starting at 15 points. Now, I understand that a lot of people are getting hung up on that there's no wash and dryer. I get that. It's not meant to be the same as a 1-bedroom, but sleep 6. There is no studio that can sleep 6. Most sleep 4, some sleep 5. You've got a kitchen, and based on the artist renderings, it's a full fridge, it's a stove, it's cabinetry. Like you got a whole kitchen there, a table, a living area with a couch, and then you've got that nice bathroom that has that little split sink situation going on. I mean, and you have a porch. You have a porch, so you have an outdoor space, and you're not sharing walls with people, so you get quiet. So I get, like, the amenities aren't the same as a deluxe, the transportation's a little different, but 15 points, that's cheaper than some studios. And they go as high as 36 that's Christmas weekend time. But to put it into perspective for you, the resort studios at Grand Floridian, just the standard view, during that same travel period, that December 24th through December 31st, are 37 points for a studio. So I think that these are some seriously good point charts. And to me, they're way more like studio points than 1-bedrooms, at all. So that's my spiel.
Well, and I think, I think the question that I get asked the most by people back when I was a travel agent was, is there any place that sleeps 6? Because a family of 4 wants to bring grandma and grandpa. That's honestly, I used to get that all the time back in the day.
Yeah.
And it's something that Disney has, it's such a weird place to draw the line. Well, 1-bedrooms, you get 5. Studios, you get 4, but then you get 9. Like there's nothing in between for the average size family, and I come from Utah where average size people's like 22 in a family. But be that as it may, this is a good bridge for people that have that slightly larger travel group.
Yeah.
For way cheaper than you're getting into a 1-bedroom.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's I think with the cabins, the name of the game is you win some, you lose some. And so I think with the point charts, we've definitely won some because they've priced them accordingly. Now, the next graphic that I'm gonna put up, I'm gonna pick on Corey just a little bit, only because Corey, we met your family when you were here. You've got 2 kids, you and your wife. This has been the biggest complaint that I think some people have had about the cabins. So this is the official floor plan that was released with all of the Fort Wilderness news today. So, I mean, you come in the front door and you're met with the living room area, which is an open concept living room with a Murphy bed that sleeps 2. And you've got your full kitchen here. But then you head into the master bedroom, or I guess, what you would just call the bedroom where the kids sleep too. because you've got your main bed and you've got your 2 bunk beds in that bathroom or in that bedroom. And we've heard a lot of rumblings over in the DVC fan community and stuff where it's just like, it would have been nice if the bunk beds were maybe separated somehow from this or potentially put in a different living space. Corey, does this impact you or would it have any bearing on how you travel?
So if we were going to stay there, the 4 of us, the kids would sleep in the living room on the Murphy bed. We wouldn't take advantage of the bunk beds in the bedroom. I think that's a bad design, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that's been kind of the feedback that I think most people have had. The next one that's kind of an interesting concept that they've gone with is we've seen split bathroom concepts at some of the other resorts that have kind of maybe a toilet and a sink lock off or just a toilet lock off in its own right. But here we have essentially you walk into the bathroom and you have basically a sink that can be shut off by itself. So someone can be having a sink and having a mirror and be getting ready out here. And then there's actually a door that leads into the primary bathroom space, which has the toilet, the sink.
Okay, what is that block that's right there by the bathtub? Is that just like an HVAC?
That's probably just
space?
in it. Yeah, that's right behind the shower head.
Oh, so like plumbing and stuff.
Okay, and potentially some other equipment space and things like that. But yeah, so it's been it's kind of a mixed bag in terms of the reviews that people have been giving in terms of the actual floor plan design of the cabins. Sam, Jeff, any real thoughts here?
So my thought is if it was like me and my boyfriend going and we were traveling with another couple, this layout doesn't work for us because if the bathroom was in the middle of kind of the 2 sleeping spaces, you could almost say, okay, this will work even only having one bathroom. But to have to walk through the other sleeping space to get to it, it wouldn't work for me.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not a privacy. Not a lot of privacy.
Yep, and
this is going to be a family thing more than a friend group traveling thing. I would never put my friends on the bunk bed in my same bedroom. Paul, Amy, you guys can take them if you want them, but that just seems weird.
Are they adult sized bunk beds or are they just kids?
They're like
not,
twin.
Not that it would make a difference for me, but
yeah, they're like twin size bunk beds.
So they're adult size. Yeah.
I'm sure adults would be able to go in it. I think it gets back to the whole camping concept. Like I put myself back into when I was camping as a kid in cabins in like elementary school and things like that. Like it was a communal, everyone slept in the same room type environment. So maybe that's what they're going for. But when you pair that with like the glamping mindset, those two things don't necessarily go together. They're kind of two different separate things.
Bunk beds promote togetherness, and someone else said not a lot of privacy, like camping. Oh yeah, I mean, I guess that's what they're going for. It's you're in the rustic, glamping type, sleeping all in one tent, but a little bit better than that, I guess.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat said 1 toilet with 6 people is tough.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, that's.
You got the wild outdoors out there too. I don't know what you did when you camped when you were a kid, but
easier for you guys.
Probably frowned upon on Disney property.
Probably.
Although not frowned upon at the race.
not frowned upon in Run Disney races whatsoever. It's rampant.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. People just.
Okay, only males, not females.
That is true. That we've seen. So someone in the chat also did ask, have we talked about a washer and dryer situation? And unfortunately we have kind of confirmed with the layout and the room design and everything, there are no washer and dryers that will be part of the cabins themselves. So Fort Wilderness does have laundry facilities at the various pool areas throughout the resort. And we do know that they're doing some upgrades related to some of that as part of the construction. So hopefully they're adding to those options and providing a better opportunity there. And I think for those of us that are members and we're thinking about adding on points, we have to put the shoes of the people that traditionally stay in the Fort Wilderness cabins. And for those people, not having a laundry is what they're used to. They're used to going to the communal laundry. They're used to living in these cabins exactly as they are.
I mean, the layout is pretty much the same, like with few changes as the previous cabins. And it would have been nice if they could have made them a little bigger, but let's be real, they probably wanted to be able to plop them down on that same slab of concrete that already fit the original cabin. So that's why we got what we've got.
And that is, I think, the clientele that they're going after here. Like, I don't think these were designed necessarily for this group of people that were on this call. I think it was kind of highlighting, and we saw this in the point charts as well, highlighting the fact that people love these cabins, love going there for Halloween or Christmas, which are the higher seasons on the point charts. And so let's go after this loyal group of people that year after year stay in these cabins and see if they will buy into this Disney Vacation Club.
A lot of people in the chat are mentioning that it works for them now with younger children, but eventually their children are going to age out. You know what I mean? Basically, as they get older, your kid needs more privacy, and so do you. So yeah, that totally makes sense.
And that's the beauty of Disney Vacation Club, honestly, is that, as you age out of the cabins, you move into the Riviera, or you move into Grand Floridian, or, the Polynesian, whatever begins to work for your family at that point in time. So any last thoughts on the floor plans or anything?
My wife and I usually take a trip at least once a year, just the two of us, and I think the cabins actually would be perfect for just the two of us. With the full
with
kitchen.
A couple dogs, perhaps, who are not allowed on furniture.
Well, we won't be bringing the dog. I don't feel comfortable flying a dog across the country.
Oh yeah, I forgot you have to fly.
But one question I do have is, do they have like a community bathroom area? Like, I know a lot of RV places have those.
Yes.
They do have those.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I can't remember what they call them, like hospitality, or what do they call it over there?
I don't remember either, but they're super nice.
Mm-hmm. They are some.
Think of a campground bathroom.
With showers and everything in them. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you have to imagine some people are actually doing tents at the cabins.
Yes. Okay.
Or not at the cabins, but at Fort Wilderness. So
they do have a full shower houses, basically bathroom, all that, and in multiple locations too. Probably closer. Comfort stations. I knew they were called something. Thank you, Angela. I knew they were called something like that. But anyway, they're probably closer to the camping and RV sites, or the tent sites. But they're there, so that is also an option. You can drive over, I guess, if your kids are hugging the bathroom.
So speaking of just the rooms in general, we did get a couple other pieces of concept art that came out with these today. One of them was the artist rendering of the Murphy bed fully pulled down, which has this little cute picture of Mickey, Pluto, Chip and Dale all kind of sleeping outside their camper at Fort Wilderness. And I believe it says something to the effect of like, see you in the morning, Fort Wilderness. So this for me, just over the top in terms of the detail that they're going into with the theming here, and how missed the opportunity was with Boardwalk. That's the only thing that I could keep thinking when like I saw this, and you guys can't see it right now because I have this picture up, but like everyone else on this call, like I said that, and everyone was like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Sam, you're a big Boardwalk fan as well. So
I do. I love the Boardwalk, and we'll be staying there in March, so I'll get to see what the refurb looks like in person. So I'm hoping it will kind of maybe change my mind seeing it in real life. But I think what you're saying is so true here. Like they really took the time to have a modern design, but have these Disney art touches in the room. And I think that was a big miss at Boardwalk. So I know they were probably very far along in the design by the time we all gave our feedback about Boardwalk. But I hope going forward, when they do these refurbs and these new resorts, that they really take the time to put those like Disney touches in the room and not just make it any other modern hotel room.
Amy, I'll start this question with you, and then I'm going to jump to Jeff real quick. Do you think that's intentional at all on Disney Vacation Club's part?
Well, obviously they want to sell their new product, and Boardwalk is not a new product. And as it gets closer to expiring, it's even going to become, you know what I mean? It's always been valuable to people, Boardwalk and Beach Club. People have always loved buying into those resorts. The prices are really high direct. So I don't know, maybe I just feel like at the Boardwalk, it was just cost cutting mostly. And it's not going on sale as a new resort, so why would they put that much effort into it? You know what I mean? Like they do here at Riviera or the Disneyland villas. You know, those
are beautifully themed.
Are amazingly themed. Yeah, like every detail, the walls, just having those accent walls and these beautifully designed pieces. And instead at Boardwalk, I felt like, I said this on the live that we did for Patreon, I felt like I was in my college dorm room with the faded, you know, whitish, yellowish walls and the paint runs because they just painted over everything. So I don't know, maybe. I do want to, just because I'm talking.
We'll come back to that. But Jeff, what are your thoughts there?
I love it. I think this is what a lot of the refurbs have been missing lately. Obviously, Boardwalk is the one we've been talking about, but we've talked about this before as well at the condo association meeting. Wow. They really made it a point to highlight how much detail they'd gone into and listed a whole bunch of hidden things and Easter eggs that you can look for in the carvings in the walls and those kinds of things. So it's obvious that they went for that. Why they chose here, I guess, could be argued, but I love it. And I think this kind of speaks to what Corey was saying earlier about, you know, if you're just going as a couple, there's some romance to this property, not just these rooms, but to the property in general with Hoop-de-Doo and, you know, the long walks around the loops and the general store. It's a special resort in its own right. And so I don't think they could have done anything else and gotten away with it. I think they had to lean into what was kind of already there and what was already popular.
And lean into what the people love about this resort too. I mean,
exactly.
That's who you've got to listen to if those are your new purchasers, and that's your next generation of Disney Vacation Club buyers. So yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think that's who they're going after here, is that next generation, like maybe like people like me who have maybe younger kids, married with younger kids, not the I'm not going to say legacy because we don't say that word, but the old legacy DVC members are not going after those. So
yeah, yep. It's not that the thing for us legacy DVC members is going to be the Poly edition, I think. But this is kind of a new idea for them. So before I'll let Amy just kind of go back and read a couple questions that I know we've gotten throughout the live stream so far. Before we get there, just recapping what we've discussed already. We've discussed the important dates that are going to be coming up related to the cabins at Disney's Fort Wilderness. So that is beginning on February 1st. We have the cabins going on sale for existing members. February 15th, those members can start booking. February 27th, sales for all new Disney Vacation Club purchases and the general public at the cabins. March 12th is when those new members can start booking. April 23rd is the free-for-all date when all members can start booking. And then on Monday, July 1st, that is when the first loop of cabins do open. And we kind of discussed that in some more detail earlier in the show. So if you're just joining us or you joined us a little bit late, head back to that. And then we also discussed the point charts and those effects and how they are very accessible for these cabins. So be sure that if you did jump in late or anything like that, head back, rewind the show, or catch the replay a little bit later. And we go over those details as well. But what questions we got?
All right. Yeah. So I definitely don't want to miss any of these because these are some good questions. Somebody, Mason Z asked, will there be an outlet on the outside of the cabins, either in front or on the deck? With the fact that a lot of people rent golf carts at Fort Wilderness, our best guess is that they will have some sort of charging, something you can plug in out there as well, I think it's actually a charging pole.
Yeah, and I think that's already part of the existing infrastructure that kind of lives there. So if we think about it, they are just going to kind of drop these new cabins right down on the existing setup that they have. So if they've already got that already run out there, and with the amount of inflatables that I see around Halloween and Christmas out at Fort Wilderness, there's got to be plenty of outlets available for you to plug things into, because that place is just, if you've not seen it during those times of year, it's a special thing. And make sure you try to book it, because those are going to be the areas, those are going to be the times of year where it's just absolute chaos there.
Bill Terry said, is the bed a king bed or a queen size? We believe that they are both queen size. The bed and Paul can go back to those photos. The bed in the main living the living room bed that comes down, the Murphy bed, that's said queen size, I believe, previously. And it looks like it. And then the one in the room with the bunk bed is also a queen size bed. So no king size beds. And then obviously we have the bunk beds. Those are more like a twin bed or the mattress size you might get on like a single pull down.
Yep. And I'm jumping over to the site real quick just to 100% verify that. But we did get kind of confirmation as to what the amenities and the accommodations are going to look like. Oh, I just clicked by it. Look at that.
We'll get that verified soon. Someone else said they heard it was a double, so we'll check on that. Steve Perry. That's like the former singer of Journey, right?
Yep. He's watching. Let's see. We've got the Perfect Gathering fold down queen size bed in the wall.
That is from the DVC website.
Yep. In the separate bed in the separate bed front. I can't talk anymore. The separate bedroom, you'll find a queen size bed and twin size bunk beds. So there you go.
Very good. No idea what this name is. Will it be harder to book the cabins or value studios? Does anyone want to weigh in on that?
Ooh.
I think these are going to be really hard to book.
I have to say it's going to depend on the time of year. I think the cabins. I think the cabins are going to be more popular. You're going to have a tough time booking the cabins probably from beginning October. Of probably earlier than that. I would say probably mid-August through the end of the year is probably going to be your troublesome time to book there. And then the rest of the year, probably a little bit more availability and opening it up. A lot's really going to depend also here on the trust. There's been a lot of questions related to what we know so far about the trust. Keep in mind, I know there's been a lot of rumblings in the community today just about all of the news that's come out about this, but what we know so far is very little with the trust. And even in speaking to some Disney Vacation Club guides and kind of just trying to ask questions, I know other people have done that, and they're still kind of in the process of learning about what all of this means to them. A lot of people were getting up in arms about the fact that it said a deeded interest today in some of the language that came out about the Fort Wilderness cabins. Keep in mind that you can have a deeded interest in the trust. It can be a deeded interest in the right to use the trust. So that's exactly how we think it's going to probably be laid out. We won't know, of course, until we see some of those first deeds recorded. Who on this call wants to be the guinea pig and be the first one to buy at the cabins? No,
I mean, if somebody else's checkbook, I'll go first.
Any buyers out there in chat that wants to buy Jeff some points, I can hit up with you afterwards and send you some stuff. But I think we had someone comment in the chat: Destination Timeshare, Marriott Trust points are deeded. Yes, all of it is a deeded interest. So it's going to be a deed no matter how you slice it. The real question at the end of the day is, what does that deed look like? And for anyone that is purchasing now at the cabins at Disney's Fort Wilderness, it's not going to matter. And I don't think Disney Vacation Club's really going to go fully into the details of what this means or what their long-term plans of this are, because we have one property. So it really does not matter until we add that second property into the trust and potentially allow some commingling between the two.
Yeah,
maybe
if that even happens.
If that happens, we don't. Yeah, exactly. We don't know that exactly is going to be what the plan of attack is here. I've been actually, since we released an entire show where we rambled about the trust for an hour, put Jeff to sleep at one point. But that show, if you've not watched it, it's up over on the DVC Fan YouTube channel. But it really kind of dives into our thoughts on this. But I've also been approached people since that show kind of saying that a lot of people do agree with the mindset of there are some tangible tax benefits for them doing what they're doing with this. And that might be the true purpose of it all. But we're not going to know that. So I feel like to a buyer, someone that's considering this, if you love the cabins, you love Fort Wilderness, buy it. If you're on the fence because of the trust, I think you have to ask yourself some more questions as to whether or not that really affects your ownership.
I still think it's because they're not real property. You know what I mean? Like they're not solid buildings with foundations. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Maybe we'll never know.
I'm in that camp as well. I think it has more to do with a way for them to rent the land from Disney because they're mobile homes, basically. I mean, I'm a real estate guy, and that just makes the most sense out of everything. But who knows?
Right. Yeah, they pick them up and move them, and like they evacuate them during bad hurricanes. So they were evacuated. All of Fort Wilderness was closed during Ian, so they had to evacuate those because they're not, as solid structures as like a Riviera or any of the actual DVC buildings.
Let's do one or two more questions real quick, and then we're going to get to a part of this conversation that I don't think any of us have really talked about too much yet, which is annual dues and what we have found out late in the day today about those.
Okay, so Icarus asked, he said, do you think that they rushed this versus the Polynesian because the Polynesian will outshine the cabin? So thinking like having this first so we can sell this to people so the Polynesian doesn't deter those sales when it comes out.
I think they rushed it because they sold Grand Floridian so quickly.
Yeah.
Yep. Sam, any thoughts?
Well, and there's a reason there's a reason that they're doing this in shifts. They're not everything's going to be available. I don't think we're ready to sell this either. I think this is like, oh, well, how many of these can we get on the freeway by next month, because we've got to get this done. So, and plus I think this is going to be, we've already talked about it, but this is a different buyer pool than Polynesian.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And I have to just imagine that it definitely went a little bit quicker. Sam, did you have anything to say on that?
Kind of going off of what Jeff was saying, I think this is a very specific kind of buyer pool. I think your folks who are waiting for Polynesian will continue to wait for Polynesian. I'm just interested to see what it's going to look like having the cabins and Polynesian and Disneyland and Alani and Riviera like all on sale at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like the more buffet of offerings you give people, if it's anything like me, I shut down if I have too many choices. Like I shut down at a Blaze Pizza or at a Subway. Like you just keep asking me, do I want this on my sub? I say yes, and I build a monster.
Okay, so we've got two more questions that I wanted to highlight.
Okay.
The first one is from Isaac. Do we think they'll do guaranteed weeks? I think that we've seen proof of that already in some of the filings.
Yep, the filings actually declared, I believe it was between 30 to 35% of the resort can be allocated as the guaranteed week inventory, which really I think highlights the fact that it's going to be busy. Again, it's reemphasizing everything that all of us have said this entire show, which is that this is being built for those people that always stay at these cabins. Because, Joe and Cindy from Alabama have always come down to Disney World for 2 weeks in the middle of March and stayed in the cabins. And that's what they've always done. So they can buy guaranteed week or 2 guaranteed weeks, I guess, in my example, and use their points accordingly in that manner. So I think that's part of like what they're trying to do here. That's where my head is.
I lost this question. I don't know where it went, but someone asked if there was going to be a DVC pool, swimming pool. I say the word pool weird. I get made fun of for it. Pool. We have not seen any evidence of that. I don't think, right?
There's not going to be any new large scale amenities like that. They are kind of upgrading some of the existing ones. They are putting in a little kind of grab and go, like quick stop snack area over in the Pioneer Hall area and the what's that area called? Trails End area.
Yeah, they kind of already did that.
But yeah, so they're kind of just building out the infrastructure a little bit more just to kind of accommodate more. But it's the entire area of Fort Wilderness, the number of people that are going to be there really isn't changing. You know, they're just utilizing the existing cabin sites, so you can access any of the pools that are throughout the Fort Wilderness campground area. So.
Can I ask a question? And this is just me not knowing because I've never stayed there. But when it comes to the pools, do they compare to deluxe pools? Or are they more like a moderate, like water slides? You know what I'm asking?
Yeah.
Like
So we did walk around that one day that we filmed just to see some of the amenities there. And the one pool that we had stopped at did have a pretty nice water slide in a really nice area. So I would say that they are decent swimming pools. And then also in addition to that, there's other amenities that you're not going to find at a Disney Deluxe Resort. You know, there's a lake where you can fish and kayak just in the middle of
canoe rentals.
Yeah, in the middle of the resort. There's a dog park. You know what I mean? You're not going to find that at any of the dog-friendly resorts except for Fort Wilderness. So even though I was hoping they would add more amenities to make it more deluxe, there are things there that I think people don't realize exist.
Is there horseback riding there?
Yes. Yep. Oh, and then you've got Tri-Circle D Ranch. I used to say the name wrong all the time, and I think I got it right. I used to always call it Tri-D Circle. Yeah. So, and literally like standing right in front of the sign, I said it wrong about 4 or 5 times. You've got that. That's a great place that you can go and just check out, you know, the horses. There's pony rides. The stables have horseback riding. There's archery lessons. There's carriage rides. You know what I mean? So they do a thing called Food Truck Roundup where nightly they have a circle of some food trucks that come out. So there are some really kind of cool amenities and things.
Yep. So it's already coming up a lot in chat, but there's been questions about what are the annual dues? I've not seen them listed in any of the DVC fan articles. Well, Stephanie, that's because the article is actually pending. I had to get ready for this show. And unfortunately, right now, all we are going off on are some pretty solid rumors, in my opinion. And we've confirmed on multiple levels that the annual dues for the Fort
you guys should sit down for this.
If you're standing, have a seat.
If you're excited about the cabins, just take a breath.
This was the roller coaster we were talking about.
This is the roller coaster. We are hearing that the annual dues will be $12.15 per point. That's a 12.15 for those playing the home game.
We'll have a moment of silence for that to sink in.
Corey, you did the math on 150 points. Do you remember what that came out at?
Yeah, so if you're wanting to be a direct member, 150 points, your annual dues will be $1,822.50 every year.
Yeah, and that also puts it.
And what was that? Yeah, I own 175 at Grand Floridian, and it's like right over 1,200.
Yeah, it's a lot. So that puts it at the actual second highest. The only dues that are higher right now are the Vero Beach ones. It's actually higher than Hilton Head, which is only $11.31, and Alani, which usually gets a bad rap for dues, which is only $9.76. So that's a lot.
Yep. The reasoning, I have no idea. Again, we can only speculate as to the reasoning as to why these annual dues are so high and why we've really not heard about these numbers till now. But some of my actually, I'm not going to give my thoughts. I'm going to let you guys talk about it because I feel like I always give my thoughts. Sam, what are your thoughts on these annual dues? Are they bonkers?
I'm kind of surprised that they're right in between Vero and Hilton Head because we always talk so much of those dues are so high because they are in hurricane-prone areas. And it's kind of making me think of what Amy said earlier about how these might not be, hurricane-reinforced structures. So if they're seeing having to move them during a hurricane, having to evacuate them, that's going to be an added cost. So that's the only way I can kind of rationalize where they're sitting in terms of rank.
Yeah. Jeff, what are your thoughts? You told us all to sit down. We're sitting.
I think that has to play into it, the fact that it's not in a big, safe hotel building with steel girders and all the things. I think that has to do with, these are essentially mobile homes. These are essentially manufactured homes that they're dropping down, and they're just probably not going to hold up as well. I hate the thought of, one of these Wizard of Ozing across Bay Lake in a tornado or hurricane situation. Hope they live a little stronger than that. But I think too, maybe the pet friendly thing might play into that. Dogs are rough on things. At least my dogs are rough on things. So
yeah,
furniture and stuff like that might have a higher turnover. I'm guessing. I don't know for sure.
Now, Ryan Chung did over in the in the DVC Fam moderator chat. We were having this conversation a little bit earlier. He did the quick math and did say that this is still a smidge lower than Disneyland Hotel, which, if you combine their annual dues and the transient tax for staying in those properties, I think, and Ryan, correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, I think that came out to around $12.31 per point when it came to the annual dues at Disneyland Hotel. So,
and the transient tax for that is going up in 2025.
The transit tax
so that is
up.
A good point.
So it is a good point, but it's a weird new trend with these DVC resorts with these bonkers dues. Go ahead, Jeff.
Sorry, just really quick. That is true. What Ryan, and I hate to agree with Ryan ever, but he's right. And it's okay. No, I'm kidding. I love Ryan. But when you're buying your points at Disneyland Hotel, you don't pay that transient tax unless you're staying there, correct? So if you opt to use your points here, then that's sort of a moot point. It's sort of a wash.
Yeah. I agree with everything you guys have said, and I think it's a combination of several factors here. Everything is high. The cost to insure one of these mobile homes essentially is high. The risk associated with the weather in that area is high. You're surrounded by trees. What are the likelihood of a tree falling on one of these things in Central Florida, which gets a thunderstorm every day all summer? It's high, and so it's when you weigh those risk elements, I think that is a large driving factor for these. The other thing that I go to is Old Key West because
that's what I was thinking.
The amount of space that it takes to move people around Old Key West, they have some of the highest transportation dues budgeted in that resort because there's just so many buses, and you've got to, double that for the size of Fort Wilderness because you've got multiple internal loop shuttles. You've got all of the transportation to the parks by bus. So it's really a bus
minus
heavy
the one
resort.
boat to Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. You're now, if you're an owner, you're now helping pay for that one boat probably in some percentage form. But I think
plus just getting housekeeping around and getting maintenance around. That's a lot of area to cover and to travel to. And then one other factor, I wonder, I don't know for sure, but just thinking of things that make dues high, like hurricane assessments and things like that over at the beach properties and transportation over at Old Key West. I wonder if we got a little bit of Animal Kingdom Lodge animal program funds, because at Animal Kingdom Lodge, in your dues, one of the line items is animal program. So basically you're paying for some draft food maybe, or, caring for the animals on the savannah. So we've got all these horses that are around Fort Wilderness, the ones pulling the carriages, the ones that you can go and check out for free at Tri-Circle D Ranch. So I wonder if we even have some of that animal care built into those dues as well.
Horses got to eat.
Could be. Although the flip side of that coin is, yeah, we have all these added costs, but we also don't have a pool that's for this property only. You're sharing it with everybody else in their tents and RVs, and you don't have any additional restaurants that you're not paying for that would have to be staffed. Those are already there and being shared with the campground. So I don't know. It still just seems high to me. It just seems really, really high to me.
All of you are familiar with Phil Murphy. He's been on the show a couple times. He's one of the moderators over in the DVC Fan Facebook group. He put in a chat I was having with him earlier, He said, it feels like it makes sense dues-wise. They're meant for families, which means kids will be there constantly and wear and tear will be accelerated. Also, they are dog-friendly properties, which means they will have to be refurbished more often. And then kind of agreeing with us, and there's no traditional infrastructure built around them, which means more frequent repairs and such. So I think the animal aspect, going like a step further with all of that, the animal aspect when it comes to some of these being pet friendly is also going to accelerate kind of that wear and tear aspect on the cabins.
What's around the like each cabin? Is it like grass and like, I mean, I would think
grass,
that
pine needles.
I think there's a drive. Can you park in front of your cabin or no?
Yeah. I think so.
So a little driveway and
little parking pad type
and
thing.
grass.
But it's like the cabin area. It seems like a really large space. So I would think like the land, like on all of the cabin area, the entire area where all the cabins are. I mean, just think of the landscaping maintenance.
That's true too. Yeah.
Yep. A lot of upkeep all the way, but $12.15. We'll see if that pans out, but we're pretty solid on that number on multiple levels. But that's going to be a consideration. Like if that, Jeff, I know you, like you've said, it's been a roller coaster in terms of these numbers. Does that kind of just fully sway you out?
I think it does. Like I want to stay here for sure. I'm like, I think I love the idea of them. I've loved the idea of them since they announced them, but if they're going to come in price wise where everything else is selling and then add $12.15 per point, I'm out. Unless for some reason the poly comes in at $17 a point or something, you know.
Sam, Corey, I'll ask you guys the same question. I know that neither of you may be looking for points today, but let's say that you were looking to add, 100, 150 points on. Based off of all of this information, would this be the place where you're going to do it right now, or would you be waiting for the next best thing?
I think if I was going to add on now, I would be waiting for poly, only because of how I typically travel. The cabins, like the layout just doesn't really work for me. And I know a lot of folks say that, Polynesian right now only has studios, but like they are getting duo studios, 1, 2, maybe a grand villa. So I think for me, Polynesian would just make a lot more sense than Fort Wilderness, but I would book a stay just to check it out.
Corey?
We are monorail resort snobs, I guess you could say. So I actually plan on selling my old Key West contract to buy more poly points. So no, I'm not interested in the cabins. They look beautiful, but no, I'm not for me.
Does anybody in the chat know how many? I'm trying to look at the map and find it. How many swimming pools are there at Fort Wilderness? I'm looking on the map and I can only see like the main one. Oh, I think there's one over here.
I know of at least 2 pools.
Yeah, I can only find 2. So there is one over by. So a lot of people brought this up. There is a swimming pool over in the cabin area, and there is also a comfort station over there. It's close to a couple of the cabin loops, but for some of the other cabin loops, they're a little bit out of the way. I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cabin loops on this map here. So there is a comfort station probably within walking distance. There's also a pool that I think is kind of small for as many cabins as there are, and then it's a sports area in that zone. But I'm looking at other areas of this map. I see the main pool and the tennis courts.
And worth noting, Destination Timeshare in chat actually said the smaller pool was added to the trust. So that means that it is part of the responsibilities that are now passed along associated with the resort to the owners. So
that makes sense.
That's definitely something to take into consideration. Frank said here, for how often existing cabins have been damaged by wind or tree branches, that should give us a good idea of the risk. Don't forget, this has been an existing resort, and I'm sure Disney added all of those costs into the consideration there. And I have to I would agree with that as well. They know historically what these cabins have cost, so it's probably a very accurate dues estimate as compared to kind of guessing with maybe a new property like Riviera or something. Although Riviera's they did a very good job of estimating those dues, but they kind of know what the cost is going to be here. And we mentioned this before with inclement weather, but Jeff, was it you that was mentioning about how during one of the hurricanes, some of the people that were cleared out?
Yeah, when we were at Riviera for Hurricane Ian, we went down to breakfast, and there was at least one family, and I want to say maybe two, that were in the cabins at Fort Wilderness that got moved to Riviera for the duration. So
yeah, so it is possible that they kind of clear people out of those cabins and move them out. So there's a reason they do that. They do that for safety, and so that's got to be a consideration. So they've probably had some issues over the years with some of those cabins.
Going back to the swimming pool topic, you guys are so smart in the chat. There are 2, so that's what I saw on the map. Seems like a very small amount for such a large resort. So there's the main one, and then there's that little one that's in the cabin area. And both do have hot tubs. So someone asked that question if there was a hot tub. Yes, there are. And something that I thought was a good point that was made, and now I wish I could find it. Oh, Icarus said I would highlight the 750 acres versus the 165 acres that Old Key West has. So we think of Old Key West as a large sprawling resort. Wow. And in Old Key West, 165 acres. Thank you for that statistic.
That's a great comparison.
Whereas Fort Wilderness, 750. So yeah, so that's a lot more land. Even if we're only talking about the cabin area, we're still talking about a joint ownership or joint responsibility for dues in many of the facilities and things like that. Just like all the other, owners at DVC resorts pay, Polynesian pays a portion of the monorail and Riviera pays a portion of the Skyliner. So we all take part in some of those costs when you own there.
I was really hoping that this is a whole nother can of worms, but I was really hoping that they were starting a new category of DVC, like that moderate category. Because then I think I would be interested, right? If this whole trust conversation is where you say you have moderate resorts. I'm going to use Coronado as an example, Coronado Springs. If that became part of the trust along with the cabins, and you were able to book at both resorts at the 11-month window and any of the other net new moderate resorts that came online, that to me is, I would definitely be interested. And I think that would open up a whole nother target audience to DVC.
Yeah.
With the caveat of those who owned in the trust, you wouldn't be able to book at deluxe. But if you own deluxe, you could book at moderates. So, but it does create another kind of class of DVC ownership, right? Kind of that middle class of DVC. I don't think that's going to happen, but I was kind of hoping that's what was going to happen.
David put in the chat, any guess on price per point? Jeff, I'm going to go to you first on this one.
I think they're going to be priced along with everything else that's for sale. I don't think they're going to have trouble selling these. I think, sorry, my dogs are being ridiculous, but 225, 230, I think is where they're going to end up.
Yep. Sam?
I'd say maybe 230 on the high end. 230.
Okay. Corey?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. 225. I'm sure there's going to be some incentives, that will drop. Drop the price, but 225.
Amy?
Yeah. No, I agree with what everyone said. I think it's going to be priced similar to what Riviera is priced, or maybe Alani. We talked about this earlier. Don't think it's quite going to be the prices of the villas at Disneyland Hotel. But going back to kind of what Corey had said, the point charts point to more of a moderate type pricing, right? A bigger space for less points. But even if we do start to see moderate resorts come into the DVC space, I think we're going to see the pricing per point similar to all the other resorts, and then we're going to see those changes in the point charts.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not in the annual dues.
I initially, I would say when they announced the cabins, I had this thought that they were going to try to push this closer to the Disneyland hotel price, which was upper. I think it's $239 per point is the Disneyland hotel price at the moment before incentives. I thought that they were going to try to maybe package this more as a premium offering, but when you look at the annual dues that they're up against, although that's kind of where Disneyland Hotel's annual dues are. But when you look at the kind of the point charts and everything else, I don't think they're going to struggle with sales if they put it at that premium rate, I feel like. So I think, like all of you said, it's going to have to come in probably right around that 225 mark. And that's going to be where Riviera is at. That's going to be where Alani is at. And then the name of the game is which resort kind of gets pushed on the back burner and doesn't get the incentives that the other resorts are going to get. And I think we said this before. They're going to try to move through these cabins as quickly as possible and get them out of the way before Poly launches, which I don't think I've publicly said this really on any of the shows yet, but I do kind of have a rumor article coming up pretty soon about it. But I do think Poly's been pushed to 2025. It just, construction is moving very quickly, but just when you think about the finishing construction that they have to do and everything else, I think that they're maybe just going to slow things down a little bit and just let off the gas a smidge so that this maybe gets pushed into the first quarter of 2025.
And they left it off of their upcoming 2024 things. Yeah. So that was kind of telltale sign there, like coming in 2024, and then it's not there.
Not the Polynesian.
So
yeah, those are kind of thoughts. But
talking about Disneyland though, that price per point is location. You know what I mean? And just like there's nothing else. You can't really buy Grand Cal, or you can, but it's very hard. It's very expensive, and it's so hard to get in there. So they have that going for Disneyland. You're a walk away from 2 parks in downtown Disney. So I do think Fort Wilderness needs to be priced less, more in line with Riviera and whatever else is out there. Yeah. Alani. I almost forgot about Alani.
Any other thoughts from you guys, Sam, Corey, about the cabins in general, or just anything random you want to talk about?
I'm excited to do a sunrise walk around Fort Wilderness.
Whoop, whoop. And you're going to be here in just a couple days. You're headed for she's doing the one night. David Zakai, our good friend, he dubbed it the one night stand. And he wrote an article about it for DVC Fan, but the one night at Disney World. So going to enjoy all of the Festival of the Arts stuff. So love seeing all the content you put up. If you guys are not following Sam, please follow her over at Instagram, TikTok. Where else are you? You're all over the place. You're everywhere.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So
just join threads.
Yeah. Sam, DVC Millennial. Corey, any last thoughts?
No, I am excited about these cabins. Like I said, I think they're opening up to a new demographic, especially those with dogs, people that have dogs, 2 or less, 2 dogs.
Sore subject, Corey.
So, it'll give us a chance to try something new. Hopefully, I don't know that this was mentioned, but I do think these will be hard to book at the 7-month mark if you don't own there. I don't know that you'll ever get them.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Nothing's impossible.
Nothing's impossible, but at the same time, because of where those point charts are, there are a lot of point misers like ourselves out there, and people like to save money. So if you're telling me that I can stay in one of these as opposed to the crazy bonkers 1-bedroom prices at like Grand Floridian, then I'm probably going to stay in one of these and save points and really spread them a long way. So
yeah, we do have a couple people asking about deluxe, if it's considered deluxe, and we had talked about that before the show. For example, if it qualifies for the
after hours events, or the special extra hours, and
which they have changed some of the language that the cabins will be considered deluxe villas, so those will qualify for those, like those special evening hours that you have. Not the whole resort. I don't think you can pitch a tent and get the deluxe get the deluxe, whatever it is. But yeah.
I think it'll be. I think what we'll begin to see more and more is kind of the cabins at Disney's Fort Wilderness kind of move out into its own category. Like these are almost as if it's its own resort, and then everything else at Fort Wilderness kind of stays in this other category, and they kind of separate it out that way. But nothing official on that just yet. So more news to kind of put in there. Before we go any further and before we wrap up, I want to get Jeff's thoughts. Any last lingering thoughts on the cabins? No,
I think we've pretty well beat this horse right to death. I mean, I think we've done a great job. I think I'm excited for them. I want to stay in one really bad. I was really excited to buy one, and they just keep putting it just a little bit out of reach. I can't.
You can buy an old one.
True.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
They were only $20,000 last time. The last old ones. Although you had to keep it at wherever it went. They went to like this mobile home park or something, or it was like a camping resort, and you had to pay rent and keep it there. So maybe this time they'll sell them on the free market for us. We can put it in our backyard.
Amy, any last thoughts?
No, I'm excited. I want to go back and reread the chat because there's so many good points that people brought up. So it's hard to talk and see all that going on. So thank you, those of you that were here that contributed. Thank you so much to Lauren and Ryan for being the best moderators ever.
They had some fun early in the show. Let's just put it that way. They had a lot of fun.
We're
moderating the chat, but
and even after we restricted it to subscription only, we didn't really lose any. We still got around almost 500 people here. So thank you for being subscribers and for watching and not getting kicked out with the bots.
I don't even know what that means. Subscription only just means if you're subscribed to the channel.
Yeah.
Cool.
But they had to be a subscriber for 10 minutes. So
bots can't do that. They're impatient. They can't stick around for more than 10 minutes.
They moved on to their next live stream.
Well, speaking of subscribers, if you are watching this after the fact, my closing thoughts are similar to Paul's here. So Paul and Paul want you to hit that thumbs up button, like and subscribe to the DVC Fan YouTube channel. The last show that we put up, I saw that it was like 65% of the people that watched it. Now, granted, this was the Trust Show where we rambled about nothingness for an hour and somehow it got like 30,000 views. But like 65% of the people that watched that show were not subscribers to this channel. And it means the world to us that Jeff's like, but it means the world to us if you show us some support by subscribing. Also, we share a lot of behind the scenes stuff over in our Patreon, patreon.com/DVCFan. I think that's really where, Corey and us connected. Corey was in our Patreon community and hit us up, and we went to breakfast while he was in town recently. So join us. It's a fun group of people. We have fun conversations, just like this fun conversation. But that's going to do it for this special edition episode of the DVC Show. We'll be back on our regularly scheduled time next Monday, and we will see you all then.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.